Hi and welcome to the next episode of Tejal Talks. I'm your host Tejal Chopra, and today I'm going to share with you this very cool concept and theory of underpromising and overdelivering. If you've not heard of it before, don't worry at all. We're going to decode it together. At the same time, I'm going to help you understand what are the pros and cons of it and how can you use it effectively in your business. So without any further delay, let's get right to it. To begin with, first let me help you understand the meaning of both the terms. So what is underpromising and over-delivering, and how does it come together? So in order to win a customer or get a product to be sold, most businesses claim different offers to make sure that the customer buys that product. Have you ever fallen prey to this? I would love to know, because a lot of us have, that we paid up for something, we got a warranty, but when the actual issue arose, that warranty did not translate to anything. So the terms and conditions or the wiring of the warranty was in such kind of a way that it meant something else and it actually translated to something else on legal paper. So this is an example of what I'm talking about, that you were not delivered what you were promised, and rather you were promised wrongful things which were never the intent of delivery. So this is something which is very wrong on a business's or a company's part to do to its consumers. So this is just one example of it, and taken in a very different context. Underpromising and over-delivering can actually help a business owner as well as its consumers a lot too. So basically, underpromising and over-delivering is doing that little bit extra than you promised and going that extra mile to satisfy your consumers or your customers even more. It is definitely providing value for the money anyone is spending, because that is what all consumers want. But at the same time, if you go that extra mile, your customer will become a loyal fan and will get associated to your brand or business in a fashion that they will be recommending you left and right to people, but at the same time they'll be coming back to you again and again for their own requirements. So that is something that you need to use this theory to create, rather than doing the first thing that we discussed. I'm sure you understand that in all transactions, your customer has an expectation, and this is something that has to be met or managed by the business. But when you exceed the expectations that the customer has, that is, you promise them A but you give them B, and that B is more than A in terms of the value you're giving, not just for the sake of it, but more than A in terms of the value you're providing or you had promised, then that becomes over-delivering when you've under-promised. And this is what leads to your sales going through the roof, whether it's online sales or offline sales or both together, because this type of route can be taken by any type of business owner, be it online, offline, or a combination of two. So let's talk about under-promising first. Taking an example of a tailor who promises their consumer that this is something that I can give to you on so and so date. Now, what is the right way to go for a consumer to be satisfied in the end? Now, I'm sure you understand that unexpected delays and obstacles can arise anytime. So if you're covering that already, that say I am the tailor or I am the person who's providing this service, and I know that I'm going to complete this thing by so and so date, but keeping that extra cap of 2-3 days in order to ensure that if any delay or obstacle comes, you're able to work around it and not leave your customer dissatisfied with your service or your timeline or your delivery. I will promise the customer, rather than 20th, I will promise them that the work will be done by 23rd. So now if I'm able to meet my internal deadlines and make the product ready and ensure it's shipped to them or shared with them on 20th, that will be under promising as well as over delivering at the same time. That is, I gave them on 20th, my internal timeline was 20th, but I promised them 23rd, so they are getting it beforehand. In this case, what happens is, even if I'm not able to do it by 20th and it exceeds by 1 or 2 days, it's still over delivering because they thought that they were going to get it on 23rd. If because of any further delay it actually became 23rd, still they're not dissatisfied because they got it on the very date it was promised. So it was something that you've met. Promise has been met. So when you over deliver, both you and your client receive a feeling of happiness. The client is excited because they received something more than they expected, whether it's some bonus, whether it's some gift. A lot of these days, a lot of apparel based businesses are actually shipping extra masks to people with their outfits, and that is something which is sort of over delivery because that's something that everyone has to use, wherein it was not promised. So if you're doing that extra bit, it's always making the customer happy and satisfied even more than they expected to be. So what this does is your client gets excited because they received more than you promised, more than they expected originally, and you as the product or service provider gets a bump in your perceived value. That is, you charge them X amount of rupees for this delivery, and because you over delivered, the perceived value in the eyes of the customer is way more than what you originally charged. So this can lead to additional sales, referrals, word of mouth marketing, as well as overall increase in your professional reputation as a brand or business. The client may see you as someone who really goes above and beyond to meet their customer demands, and not just meet them but exceed them. Now, as we discuss the pros of this theory, let's come and discuss the cons as well. When you think about this theory, it sounds like the best one and you might want to use it, but there are also some cons to this theory. So that is the reason that whenever you're using it, it needs to be very balanced, because you cannot underpromise so much that the person thinks that they do not deserve this particular payment for this particular thing. You cannot go to that level of underpromising. It still needs to be a lucrative offer for the customer in order to make that buying decision, and then the over delivery part will kick in. But if you cut out the value of the product altogether just to ensure that you over deliver later, it will impact your initial sales. So you need to be sure of what you're cutting and what you're giving out as over delivery, or what you're giving out as the base service or base product. The second thing is also to balance when you're over delivering. So for example, if you promise someone that they'll get something by Friday and you get it done by Wednesday or Thursday, first time they'll be thrilled, second time again they'll be happy. But if that becomes a norm, they will start expecting that from you. So what can happen is that due to a delay, if you were not able to give it earlier than promised, they might feel that this kind of service you were giving has reduced, because earlier you were saying Friday, you were giving Wednesday, now you're saying Friday and you gave on Friday. That's something in their mind, that the value has come down because of it being a very regular practice. You need to ensure that you do not cross this thin line between when you can use it and when you should ideally use it, to always using this theory. Because clients can always go from being highly satisfied to disappointed even if you've over delivered on your own part. At times that can happen. So just ensure that you keep a balance maintained whenever you're utilizing the concept of underpromising and over-delivering. So if you ask me, Tejal, should I use the theory of underpromising and over-delivering at all? I would say it depends on you, your business, your vision, your missions, your values, and at the same time, the kind of offers you have. It might work for some offers, it might not work for all of them, and that's okay. You need to ensure that you make that decision very mindfully and clearly about when you want to use this practice and when you don't, because if used correctly, it will be a game changer for your business. But if it's used incorrectly, it might cost you a lot of customers right in the beginning before you had a chance to over deliver. So ensure you keep this balanced. While you're doing all of this, one thing is certain, that you should always meet your promises. So if you have said that you'll give XYZ, don't under deliver. That is going to harm you so much, and definitely is not worth for any client or customer, because they are paying for something that was promised which was not delivered. So ensure you keep your promises and deliver what is expected at the highest level possible. So while you do this, continue to strive for the best for yourself and the team, and you will outperform everyone else in leaving your customers extremely satisfied. So with that, we've come towards an end to this episode, and I would love to know your thoughts on this episode in my DMs on Instagram or in my email inbox. I love to hear from you. Before I go, I want to remind you to leave us a review based on your thoughts and your experience with the episodes, and I will talk to you soon.